So this is Baruch here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and we've been spinning the zodiac, and we've been counting. Here's our chart of the first man here: Aries going 12 houses, Taurus going 12 houses. We're finding that there's a pattern here that the house right before that, your particular ascendant, or the house before that you want to know about, is going to be a secret enemy. And so he went through all of that and explained it as we will counterclockwise, which is really funny because they're saying that counterclockwise is forward. Okay. To us in the West, it's backwards, but I don't want to get off into that. This is forwards. Now, he's going to talk now about going backwards, which is clockwise. And let's see what we can understand about this, because he says the principles are really still the same. So we're going to find out, let's see if we can find ourselves over here and get started. So Reb Yaakov writes, so now we went through all the 12 signs going counterclockwise forward. Let us go through these signs using the number 12 of, that is, the concept of secret enemies, because we understand that 12 in the chart of the first man, secret enemy. So let's see, maybe I just learned something here about this. I don't have to move everything there, just move that up and then everything fits on the page. Okay. In the more spiritual way, going clockwise or backwards. So again, we see that the secret enemy of the person in the first house, which is you in first house, is the second house. It's money. Money can cause a person to get off the path. It takes people away from their spiritual goals. So the money is, in a spiritual way, the secret enemy of the person. The person who accumulates more and more money usually becomes less and less religious because he feels more and more invincible and important. The poor person usually lacks the monetary means to go off the path and fulfill his desires, but the rich person can do whatever he wants. And the secret enemy of the money, the second, is the third person. What the third person can do whatever he wants. Now let's go over this a little bit now. And in the basic chart, again, the first house is Aries. So Aries is you, and you're going forward. This is the idea that Aries is a going forward type sign. And Aries is the first man. He's going forward. He runs into Taurus. So Taurus is the money. You can only run so far without money. And that's the whole problem here that Aries has, because he wants to run and run, but he doesn't have the money. So now the money. He's going to say the money, the secret problem of the money. And I'm going the wrong way. Wait a minute. Which way am I going here? Oh boy. So that's right. I figured it out. I'm counting wrong. I'm going to go count clockwise. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so therefore that's right. The secret enemy is Aries, which is you want to go forward, is money, you need the money. Now over here is the secret enemy that it's going to say count 12 from going clockwise, you're going to get the Gemini. So what's the problem with money and Gemini? So let's see if we can find it here. He says, the person who accumulates more and more money, he talked about that. The poor person usually acts on monetary, and the secret enemy of the second house is the third house. That's where we're at. The desire for knowledge. When a person wants to have more knowledge, it might take away from his earning. Right? You want to spend time learning Torah, you may not be spending all that much time making money. And today, when you look at it in another way, the cost of schooling. So the secret enemy of the money is desire for knowledge, and the desire for travel is the desire for knowledge and desire for travel. So he says you have to pay for school, as well as the brothers and sisters, which is the third house. And all these are secret enemies of the money too, because they usually destroy the relationship between the siblings is the desire for money. And a lot of people have built shopping centers, big, powerful things, but they left it to their children. So who's going to run it? Who's going to own it? Their children start fighting. Inheritances usually cause fighting and disputes among them. Now that's the third house. When we learned about the third house. The third house, which is the house of Gemini, is also the house of siblings. So knowledge and siblings can take away the money. That's what he's saying. You want to gain knowledge? You have children, the siblings, you have to split it up with them. As we said before, the third house is the house of the neighbors and the brothers, sisters, and the secret enemy of that is the home, the parents. Where are we now? That is because the values of the home are sometimes contrary to the values of the street. So here we see the secret enemy of Gemini is Cancer, which is the home. Because Gemini is out there on the street, which we said before is the neighbor. But the neighbor doesn't want to be penned in at the home. The fourth house is also the past, the eternal values and roots of where the person came from and who he is. And if you look through history, the cruelest and most perverse things have been done and seem perfectly normal at their time. That is how the world is, and most people don't think about what's going on. So you really need a strong fourth house in order to know who you really are and where you come from. In other words, you have to have tradition, you have to have roots, and have that as an anchor. And from that, you will be able to know what is right and what is wrong, and have your eternal values, which can keep you away from the relative and fashionable values of the time. So the fourth house is the secret enemy of the third. Now he says, and my teacher used to say that when you do a horoscope, one of the first things to look at is the fourth house. Now that's interesting. The fourth house is the house of the home. The fourth house is the end of life. And the fourth house is in the horoscope is good. It means that the person is going to be okay, because if the end of his life is going to be good, it means that he got there through the good. So he got there okay. If he made it through all of his life, then the way he is at the end really counts. And the same thing is with eternal values. If you have them, it will lead you to a good ending. Now, what's about the secret enemy of that fourth house? So the secret enemy of the fourth house is the children, right? The children is the fifth house. Let's go to the fifth house. What's playing on the fifth house? Leo. Back to Leo again. The secret enemy, let me see if we're going to find it here. Here's Leo. Here we go. So the secret enemy of Cancer, which is the home, parents, standing, what's the right way to say it? Values, permanent values, is Leo. What's the problem with Leo? I mean, Leo, again, look at it this way: Cancer is a water sign, Leo is a fire sign. They make a lot of steam together. Let's see how that works. He says, so if you have it, will lead you to good ending. And the secret ending of the home is the children. Children is in the fifth house. Because we learned that before in this series where we talked about the eighth house and the fifth house, because the children eventually grow up and leave the parents behind. They'll all go off to start their own families, and the parents are sort of left in their empty nest. That is the way of the world, and this is how things are. The children, he says that Leo represents the kids. That's what he said actually in the last one too. Leo's a playful, very creative side. So he says, as said in the Torah in the book of Genesis, the man leaves his father and his mother and clings to his wife. That means he leaves the home. But in a certain way, when the children leave, it's like the end of the home. And the house of the children is also the house of pleasures, the secret enemy, which is the house of illness, which is the sixth house. So you go back to Virgo again, which is the house of illness. Virgo. So if you fall ill, you can't get pleasures anymore. You are robbed of your ability and get to get pleasure. So therefore, the Virgo is a killer for Leo. And the sixth house of illness is also the house of servitude, right? And slaves and servants don't have pleasure either. So it's not a house with a tremendous amount of physical desire for pleasure. That's going to put a real cramp on Leo. A slave doesn't have time for his own needs. So the sixth house is the secret enemy of the house of pleasure, which is the fifth. And the secret enemy of the illness is the partner. Now, what's that about? So you're ill. So that's your whole thing. Is a partner who is a Libra. Because together they can combat the illness. Because if you bring someone into your life, it will make you stronger. You have someone with you who cares about you. It helps in getting rid of the illness, somebody to take care of you. Besides, a man completes himself by getting married. As a bachelor, he only has half access and is therefore half a person. And houses 1 and 7 always interchange their energy. So that means your opposite. The one who is your open enemy is actually the person who holds the keys to what you're missing. So that's this exchange he's talking about. Number 1 gives 7, and 7 gives to 1. The older they get, the more they look alike, and getting married also takes away the sins, which also heals the illnesses. So the 7th house is the house of marriage, the secret enemy, which is death. So let's go over here. Is the 7th house is the house of marriage, the house of balance, the house of putting 1 and 1 together, making 2. Scorpio, on the other hand, is the house of death. If one of the partners dies, it means the end of the marriage, and all culprit couples worry about the eventual death of one of the partners. And religion, which is the 9th house, is the secret enemy of death. So see how this works like this? Here's Scorpio is death. Here's Sagittarius, which is the 9th house, right? And it's religion. And religion is the secret enemy of that because it teaches about the afterlife, and people in this world that have eyes to see realize that the purpose of living in this world is not for this world. You don't have to be so smart to realize you're not going to take it with you. So therefore, 90%, 95% of the people in the world are suffering, have many troubles, and very few people really pass through this world, having gotten much out of their lives. So few people accomplish. Like it said in Judaism, this world is a passageway to what you receive in the next world. So the religion is a secret enemy of death because it is a way to cheat death in a sense. Death is not such a problem for the one who believes in the next world and is not so scared to leave this one. But if a person focuses too much on this world, then his greatest achievement at the end would be becoming the richest person in the graveyard. Secret enemy of religion, that's Sagittarius. Sagittarius is religion. His number 10 is a Capricorn. Capricorn is the career. The secret enemy of religion is the government. So he says the government, didn't say career. Like we said, so therefore another qualification is the governor is the Capricorn. So he says the government itself is Capricorn. Like we said before, and work career is also the secret enemy of religion. If one has no career or work that generates income, especially during tough times, he would have to compromise his religion. In Judaism, you should try to study all the time, but if you don't have money to eat, you have to try to earn money first. Religion and government are secret enemies of each other because they compete about who has more authority. And many persecutions of religions were done by secular governments and vice versa. So the secret enemy of the religion is the career and the destiny. Now, going backwards, and you see how he's working this. You now have yourself in Capricorn. It's the 10th house. And Aquarius are going to be the secret enemy. Count clockwise 12 houses, and you get to Aquarius. So he says that the secret enemy of the 10th house, which is the house of destiny, the house of career, the house of government, is friends. The more friends a person has, the more it takes him away from his destiny. So you'd rather be over in the group and enjoying the group than being out there working. And the secret enemy of friends is the soul. Now, how is that? We're getting really close to the end, and this is really the end of this section here. And very, very illuminating to me. They keep a person from choosing the wrong friends and make him choose the right friends who help him do the right things in the world. Now, let me see if I got that right. He says the secret enemy of friends is the soul, because the soul will sort out who your friends should be. So they'll make it harder to just be with everybody. All the secret knowledge is hidden in the zodiac. You can see things on a simple level or in much deeper and more secret level. I want to show you that there is much wisdom hidden inside the zodiac, and that you can get answers to questions by using and meditating on the zodiac. You don't have to go into psychology or into mantras or wearing precious stones. The answer to the questions appear inside the zodiac itself. The zodiac was a secret wisdom. They had all of the principles of Judaism embedded in it. They are really two systems in Judaism which have all its knowledge embedded into it. One is Kabbalah, and I would just add onto this is that the view of the Ari, is that the world is built around God. In other words, God is the core of all reality. The other one is also acknowledged by the Ari, but doesn't deal with it that much, is astrology. Astrology is the concept that the God pours his light from the top, from the outside, that is, I guess you would say outside in instead of inside out. He is on the outside also shining in. In the Kabbalah, it is a more secret way, like inside the material, such as the Panemian way. A lot of people call Kabbalah Panemius, because it refers to the inner dimension. So the inner dimension of the person, and astrology has all the outer knowledge, just the outer dimension. Now you could count like this. You could count like this: Keser, Chochmah, Bina, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yisod, Malchus. Or you could count, and then looking at it going from the top to the bottom. And then you could start counting back the other way. You could go from Malchus up to Keser. So both ways work. One is the inside out, and the other one is the outside in. But each one interchanges. And each one has all the secrets of the Jews embedded in it. And really, if you can start thinking very deeply about the zodiac and all the signs and everything, you can come to a lot of higher knowledge. And also the other way, when you learn the Jewish holy books, you could try to see how all of this is taught all that is taught actually fits into the chart of Adam and Eve. This is Baruch Fleischman. This has been a most revealing chapter that to me, and I feel like I really have some idea of something about the zodiac, how to go through the signs and how they interact. Now, the next section is going to be a section called Permutations of God's Name. And it is for this reason, for this particular chapter, which I found to be unbelievably illuminating. I didn't really realize that the first two sections or three sections, whatever we looked at over here, would be so tremendously powerfully done. I know that Rabbi Yaakov searched and searched and searched for information on Jewish astrology. And this next piece is going to be something that's going to be very, very deep. This is Baruch Fleischman.